Happy New Year, everyone. It is January 1st of 2023, and it is time to talk about all of the books this year that I am looking forward to publishing. Hey everyone, my name's Amanda and I'm the Fun Size Reader, and now that it is officially 2023, I want to talk about everything that I'm looking forward to reading this year. It is already looking like it's going to be a huge publishing year. When I was trying to go through the list of books on Goodreads and in other places to kind of do the research for this video, there were lots. There were so many listed. And so I had to kind of narrow down my search and my list to things that I am looking forward based on what type of books that I read, what type of books I like to review, the genres that I tend to stick to now a little bit more, and authors that I read last year or the year before and their subsequent books that have come out. So if you're new to my channel or you're finding this video for the very first time, I read a lot of romance and fantasy romance. The majority of things that are on this list are going to be in those genres, subgenres. I'm not going to have like thrillers or mysteries or contemporary fiction really anywhere on this list. But for those of you who read the same genres as me, who read the same similar type books as me, be prepared because there are over 30 books on this list. There's a nice mix of traditionally published, indie published, continued series, new books, things like that. But I also want to warn you, this is not a complete and exhaustive list. Things change in the publishing world all the time. New things get announced, other books get pushed back, things come in and out. It's not exhaustive. Just like last year, I tended to notice that the books that were scheduled to come out before like June being the last month, there were more of them than in the second half of the year. And I noticed this last year when I did the same video. It's almost like the second half of the year releases aren't really solidified yet. Some of them are, but not all of them are. I know that there's going to be way more than 30 new releases that come out next year that I'm looking forward to and that would have been on this list, but right now you can't find the information for it. I'm going to break it up by month, so we're going to start with January. In January, there are 7 books that I'm looking forward to. The first one is The Hustler Next Door by K.A. Tucker. Now, this is the second book in the Player Next Door series, which I did read at the end of 2022. I didn't know that it was going to have subsequent books. I thought The Player Next Door, it had been released a while ago, was the only one, but it's not. And The Hustler Next Door comes out on January 3rd. The next one is X's and O's by Amy Lee, and this is the second book in the Influencer series that she started last year. The first book was Set on You, and I really, really liked that romance. I have a review on it. I feel like this one is going to be a perfect like February rom-com vibe. X's and O's comes out on January 10th. Also on January 10th is a really, really anticipated release. And I put this one on the list because I feel like a lot of people are waiting for this book, but I'm putting the disclaimer that I will not be reading this book. And that is Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. It is the second book in the Ninth House series. I think it's the Alex something. I can't remember what her last name is, but I won't be reading Hellbent. I actually DNF'd Ninth House because I get really, really vivid nightmares, like vivid nightmares. I was halfway through Ninth House and I was liking the book and I was interested in it. And then I started getting extremely vivid nightmares about what was in the book. And I was like, nope, I'm done. I closed it. I put it down. I never looked at it again. And then I gave it to my sister. I will not be reading Hellbent, but I know people have been waiting for it. So it's coming on January 10th. January 24th has 2 books coming out. The first one is Begin Again by Emma Lord. And I think this one is older than her others. I think it's set in college, whereas her other books that I read, like Tweet Cute, and I can't remember the titles of the other ones right now. I can see them in my head. But Begin Again, I think, is set in college, where those were set in high school. So it might be an adult romance. I think it is, but don't quote me on that. So I'm really interested to read her adult work because I did like some of her high school stuff. Not all of it, but some of it. Also on the 24th is Do I Know You by Emily Wibberley and Austin Sigmund Broca. I commonly refer to them as Wibroca. That is what I have been introduced to them as from Penguin Teen and working with them with their YA books, which I love them all. I didn't super get into The Roughest Draft, which was their first adult romance. There are very specific reasons why I had to put that one down and walk away for a little bit. I haven't counted it out yet. I might still read it, but I think this one looked cute. It's kind of like a couples pretend to not know each other when they go on trips and vacations and things like that. Kind of a love story to keep their relationship exciting. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm going to give their adult romances another chance. There are things about The Roughest Draft that I did not love. And on the 31st, which is the last day of January, we finally get The Final Offer by Lauren Asher. This is the third book in the Dreamland Billionaires series, and I have been waiting for it. I'm really excited. So that one, because it's on the end of the month, will also probably get pushed into February for me. But it's a romance, so February is perfect. I did see a note for this one, and I wanted to bring this up even though I don't actually think there's a book coming. But I buy all of Adrienne Young's books. Like we know this. If you've been on my channel for any amount of time, you know I've read all of her books. She had a book listed. The listing date was January 1st of 2023. Now it is today, and I do not have an Adrienne Young book in my hands. I don't know if we're getting one soon. I would really like an update from her because I think it's an adult fantasy, and I think it's at least a duology. I don't know. There wasn't a lot of information, so I really want to know. It's something, I guess, to look forward to for maybe this year. In February, we have 5 books that I'm looking forward to. The first one is Secretly Yours by Tessa Bailey. This gives me the Bellinger sister vibes. Like just looking at the cover, it reminds me of that. A lot of her traditionally published books just kind of have a different feel than her non-traditionally published books, like anything that she releases on Amazon or self-publish by herself. They just have a little bit of a different vibe. The traditional ones tend to be a little bit like cuter and a little frillier, still spicy. And then the non-traditionally published tend to be smutty. This one has like a little bit of a cutesy vibe to it. So I'm really looking forward to it. And I know it's not the only one in this series, but I'll get to that. The next one is These Infinite Threads, which is the book 2 for This Woven Kingdom. Now, we read This Woven Kingdom for Fun Size Book Club last year, and I did like the book. I am curious to see where it goes. I do want to read it, but I'm a little hesitant because I feel like the last one was so long with nothing happening, like not a lot of plot, that I'm a little worried that this one might be similar. I hope not, because it's a book 2 and there's like the setup is already done, but we'll see. It's coming out in February. The next one is Ruling Destiny by Alison Noel, and this is book 2 in the Stealing Infinity series. We also read Stealing Infinity for Fun Size Book Club last year, and I was interested to see how book 2 was going to play out. I think for this one, book 2 might be a make or break for me with this series because it was kind of setting up a love triangle and all this stuff. So I want to see how it plays out. But if I don't think it's plot driven or romance driven enough to keep me interested, it might be the last one of that series that I read. On the 14th is The Sweetest Betrayal by Natalie May. And I have been waiting for this book, I think for like 2 years. This is the 3rd book in the Kinder Poison series, and I really, really love the Kinder Poison series. I think it is so much fun, and I've been waiting for this 3rd book. I don't know if it's the last one. I can't decide if I hope it is or I hope it's not, but I will definitely be reading it. And on the 21st of February, we have Things We Hide from the Light by Lucy Score. I haven't really talked about why I wanted to read this one, but I finished Things We Never Got Over, and now I'm obsessed and I need to read the next one because I really, really liked her book. I know I talked about this series or the first book in my video of books I didn't get to in 2022. Well, I got to that one and I really, really liked it. I haven't recorded the video yet, but I had to put the second book on my list of anticipated reads immediately after finishing that one. The review video for Things We Never Got Over is coming though. So like, just wait for it. In March, I have 2 books listed. The first one is Defiant by Brandon Sanderson. And this is book 4 in the Skyward series. He has the date listed as March 16th, but it is listed as an estimate. So that could potentially change, but I will definitely be getting this. I have only read the first one in the Skyward series. I need to finish the second and third and fourth one to get to the fourth one, but I really liked it. This was a YA sci-fi, kind of dystopian, more sci-fi than dystopian. It has a tiny little bit of romance theme going in there. It's got like a spaceship that talks, kind of like Kit from Knight Rider. There's a lot going on in the series, and I remember really, really liking the first book when I read it many years ago. So I do want to continue with the series. It is in my mind to read more Brandon Sanderson this year because I just like look up to him so much and he's so amazing. So I want to read more of his books. I had to take down the note of Skyward 4 coming. Now this one is new. I did not know anything about this book, but as I was going through the list, the cover caught my eye. And then I read the description, and it was a few days ago, so I don't remember the description, but I remembered being like, I'm going to take note of this. I might like this book. And that's coming out on March 28th, and it's called Chaos and Flame by Tessa Gratton and Justina Ireland. I literally know nothing about this book. I know it caught my attention, so I know I'm going to pay attention to it. In April, we have 2 books. Pretty much both of them are auto by authors for me. The first one is Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez, and that comes out on April 11th. I do not know if there's a specific order that you have to read this one, if you have to have read her previous releases before this one. I don't think so. It's not listed as a continuation of her first series, so I don't think you have to. If you haven't read Abby's books yet, please go do them, but you have to start with The Friend Zone. Do not read that series out of order. And then she puts little Easter eggs in the rest of her books from those ones. So I love her. I'm going to be reading this book, no doubt about it. The next one is Happy Place by Emily Henry. Of course, I have loved all the Emily Henry books that I have read. So naturally, when her new book comes out, I will be buying it. And now we've made it to May, and there are 4 books. Meet Me at the Lake by Carly Fortune is coming out on May 2nd. I read Carly's first debut novel last year, Every Summer After, and I absolutely loved it. I will definitely be reading Meet Me at the Lake. I'm really hoping it's not too similar to Every Summer After. I love the summer vibes that it gives. I love, the romance and all of that, but I really, really hope it's not too similar because the lake theme, I just don't want them to get intertwined. On May 9th, we have A Shadow Crown by Melissa Blair. I read A Broken Blade when it first came out. My copy still says anonymous because she hadn't released what her name was yet. That was like the TikTok book where there was a TikToker that wrote a book that sent it out. It was written as anonymous. Nobody knew who wrote it, and it was a big mystery. I read the book. My copy says anonymous, and now the second one's coming out, and I can say that it's by Melissa Blair because she's now re-released everything. I really liked it. It's good fantasy, and I do really want to know what happens next. On May 16th, we have The True Love Experiment by Christina Lauren. I'm hoping I will like this release more than I liked their one last year. I'm also hoping that it's not too close to the soulmate equation because it sounds kind of like they're trying to add in like the science-y vibes, kind of pulling an Allie Hazelwood. And I really hope they kind of go back to their roots and give us the traditional romance that we've known to love from them. So fingers crossed we'll get back to the normal CeeLo. And on May 30th, we have Cherish by Tracy Wolff. I know so many of you are waiting for that release. It is set to come out in May, but we do know that Tracy has had some issues with her paper and all of that. And so sometimes the dates get moved around. I do know that the Remy spinoff is supposed to come out in 2023. I did not write down the date of this book because I do not believe I will be reading it. I am not a fan of Remy as a character. I did not want to go off on that tangent, so it just did not get included on this list. I'm sorry for those of you who really want to read it, but I probably will not. I haven't even decided if I'm going to read Cherish yet, and I still haven't even started Charm. In June, we have 4 books. The first one is Unfortunately Yours by Tessa Bailey. This one comes out on June 6th, and it is the sequel to the one that comes out in February that I talked about a few minutes ago. A sequel, next one in the series, whatever. So she's releasing 2 books like fairly quickly, back to back, and of course, I will read both of them. Unless I really, really hate the first one, but I highly doubt it because I really like Tessa's books. Also on June 6th is Royally in Trouble by Megan Quinn. This is the second book in the Royally Not Ready series that I read last year. I didn't know this one was going to be a series, so this was a pleasant surprise. And I'm really happy to know that we have a date, and I'm excited. Megan does like lots of cover releases and artwork and stuff like that. So I know there's going to be more coming about this book. On June 8th, we have Gold by Raven Kennedy. Now, I still need to read the last one. Gleam? Yeah, Gleam. I still need to read Gleam. I got 25% in and I'm stuck. So I do need to finish it before June. Hopefully having that like hard deadline will help push it to the forefront, but we'll see. We'll see if I get to read that one on time. And on June 13th is Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. Now, I did see on the front cover that the male main character had a tattoo that was organic chemistry. So we'll see if this one is too similar to the ones in the past. He did not look like Adam Driver this time, so maybe we'll get a little bit of a difference. I don't know. We'll see. I'm looking forward to it. I really hope it's not just too much of the same book over and over again, which was a little bit of the complaint that I had with Love on the Brain. But fingers crossed, because I do like her stuff. In July, we have 3 books. The first one comes out on July 11th, and that is called Hello Stranger by Catherine Center. I really love Catherine Center's books. She's pretty much an auto-buy author for me. She writes sweet romances, and they're a little steamy, but they're not spicy. Still love her stories. She's an amazing storyteller, and I highly recommend her books. On July 18th, we have A Soul of Ash and Blood by Jennifer L. Armentrout. Now, I'm not 100% sure because all of her titles confuse the shit out of me. So I think this is book 5 in the From Blood and Ash series. I think. Because I know we're not supposed to get more Daddy Niktos until the end of the year. Because he typically comes in November. So yeah, it'll be Castile in July, which I can't remember if that's when the other ones were released. I don't know, but JLA is coming in July. On July 25th is one that I was really curious to see. It's called House of Roots and Ruin by Aaron A. Craig. It is the sequel to House of Salt and Sorrow, which I read quite a few years ago. It is a YA kind of fantasy horror-esque retelling of the dancing slippers or the 12 dancing sisters. I can't remember the fairy tale, but it was a retelling of that in a fantasy world, but it had this like dark element. I really, really liked the book. There was one little piece of it that I didn't like that I remembered, but I think this is the sequel, and that's like quite a few years later. I'm interested to see. I probably will read it, and I have to tell my sister because I know she really loved the first one too. So once we hit August, the book lists start slowing down. It's almost like the fall lists haven't really been solidified yet, so they were hard to find info on. So there's not a lot for this second half of the year, but I'm going to tell you what I found so far. In August, I have 2. On the 22nd is Foxglove by Adeline Grace. I will not be reading this book, but I put it out there because we did read it for Fun Size Book Club last year. I didn't like the first one. I'm not going to continue with the series, but there are a lot of people that loved this book and want to read the second one, so I at least wanted to give it to you. On August 29th is another one that I just haven't decided if I'm going to read it yet. I wasn't happy with the way that the series ended. I thought it was an okay ending. There were elements of the series end that I didn't love, and so I have not decided if I want to continue on yet. And that is The Brothers Hawthorne by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is the continuation of the Inheritance games, which I loved and raved about, and I loved the second one, and the third one was less than I expected. The book only about the brothers, I just don't know if that's going to have enough to entice me. We'll see. In September, there are 2, and they both come out on the 12th. The first one is Chasm by Stacey McEwen. This is book 2 in the Ledge series. We were left off on the cliffhanger. I have to know what happens. So I will definitely be getting this. I actually need to buy a physical copy of the first one. I haven't done that yet. So I need to do that so I can get the second one. And then on the 12th also, we have another JLA book, Fall of Ruin and Wrath. I don't remember what order this one is. The titles, they just are boggled in my head, but it's one of her series, one of the big series. Now, funnily enough, I did not find anything that was listed in October or November that kind of fit in my criteria enough to make me excited to write it down. I think there will be some, but I just don't know right now. But in December, we have another JLA, and I think this one's Nyctos. I'm pretty sure this one's Nyctos, and it's A Fire in the Flesh by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I will be buying this book. I will be pre-ordering this book. I will be reading this in December of next year, despite Bookmas going on. I will read this book because it is the last of Nyctos' series. There's only going to be 3, and I will have waited an entire year, so I will be literally rushing to read this. 2 of the books that I know are going to be coming out next year, but there was no release information yet, is Zodiac 9, and typically those come out in December, so I'm assuming it's going to be December again, but they literally just finished Zodiac 8, so I don't think they have a date planned for 9 yet, so I don't know about that one. And then the other one that I know should be coming is the third Defy the Night. Bridget's not going to let us down. She's going to give us the 3rd book in this year. Like, she's been very consistent with keeping her series released year after year after year. But that's not listed in Goodreads yet. The 3rd one isn't even listed at all. And I know she'll announce it. I just don't know when. Well, that was a lot. Sorry, this was a long video, but there's over 30 books in this video, and I know they're all on my TBR. Hopefully you found some to be excited about and put on your TBR. And hopefully I get to as many of these as possible next year. Let me know if there was anything that I missed that you found that I didn't find, anything that you're looking forward to. I will always be adding to my lists. Always, literally always. So let me know. Leave me a comment below. Like I said, I'm really excited about this upcoming reading year. I know there are way, way more books that I'm just going to keep adding on to this anticipated list because there's so many indie books that come out all the time. And now I need to go put all of these in my calendar. Thanks for chatting today. Don't forget, you can also find me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at The Fun Size Reader. See you guys next time.